I don't know if that helps. I can go on more on different government things, but I don't think the government can't run anything. The government runs the military. We got the best fighting force in the world, and I think we do actually. You can argue there's some waste there, but I think we do a pretty darn good job there.
The military isn't run on a profit, though, and you don't propose to make huge cuts in expenditures in the military. The military is brute force. That's what the government is good at, brute force. You take the government as big as Washington, D.C., and you put it down into small little decisions about people's lives, and brute force doesn't work. This, I consider myself, a free man, and when I read the Constitution, I don't see anything in the Constitution that says that the government can compel me to purchase health care for one of my fellow citizens, nor do I see anything in the Constitution that would say that the government can compel me to purchase insurance or I will go to jail. I don't see how what's being talked about in Congress can be balanced against the Constitution. I mean, I think we're outside the bounds of the Constitution.
So that's a whole other conversation I'm happy to have in terms of the Interstate Commerce Clause and how it's been interpreted over time. But obviously the government does regulate a lot of stuff, driver's licenses and all kinds of things that relate to commerce that aren't specifically in the Constitution. And that's the thinking of people that are doing it. But anyway, we could go on to that forever. But I undertake your point.
It is important you understand.
It is.
We are either free men or we are not.
Women.
Well, we are all part of our society that we've chosen to have together. We elect our leaders to actually represent us.
The people's contract with the federal government is the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Are you violating the contract or are you not?
And I don't believe that any of the health bills we're looking at violate the Constitution. I don't believe that, but I understand the argument that you're making, but I don't believe that. I think it is interstate commerce.
I would like to make a comment here. We can lay a lot of criticism on the federal government, but as a person who comes to the town board meeting here in Hebron once a month, fairly regularly, I'd like to say that a lot of the people who are in the room today are not at those meetings. Some people don't live in Hebron, and I understand that. But how do you motivate people to participate more in their government? Because you can say it's all the federal government's fault, but the fact is we're all electing people. We're supposed to be involved in our government, and there's not enough representation on the local level among citizens. So we can come and shout at you, we can shout at a lot of people, okay?
Nobody's been shouting today.
Well, whatever.
They shouted today, nobody's shouting.
Right. What suggestions
Well,
would you have? How do you motivate people?
So I was living my life, building businesses, creating jobs. That was what I was doing. I thought it was a great thing to do. I think that companies that create jobs and create opportunities for people in their communities are, in many ways a gift from God. That this is opportunity, provides hope and possibility for people. I think it's critical. I was very proud to be doing that and to be helping communities have that kind of hope and opportunity. I got involved in this life because I thought I could do more of the same thing by being here, being involved in government, and help make sure that we have the opportunities to grow jobs and opportunities for people in our communities. That's what motivated me to get involved. And one of the things that I think I can do to help get people involved in their communities is come out and do meetings like this. This is why I travel around all over this district and do meetings, because people do come out and they do get involved and they do talk to their neighbors. And yeah, we disagree. That's what makes us Americans, and that's what's great about this country, and that's why I'm so proud to be here and be part of the system. And so I think getting people out, having this conversation is great. Hopefully this will motivate some of the people in the room to come to the town board meeting and get involved in town issues as well, because that's how decisions get made. And I will tell you, one of the things I didn't recognize until I came to Washington is how consistent the requests are. Every day people come to my office, and so we all hear this kind of like, wow, we get frustrated, government spends so much money. They print money, they can get away with it. Every day, half a dozen or a dozen different people or organizations come to my office in Washington, and they all need help. They all want money. And I kind of thought, yeah, I'll be fine. I've been saying no to people. I was an investor. I've been saying no to people all my life. I used to get 400 business plans a year, and I'd fund 2 of them. I've been saying no to 398 companies every year, and yeah, man, the stuff that comes to your office, it's all pretty good. you know, I thought a lot of it was going to be schlock, and I'd be like, no, no, no. It's like the cancer group comes in and says, we need more money to solve cancer. We're going to save people's lives. It's the dairy farmers come in and say, we need help. Our dairy farms are dying. It is the local arts group that comes in and says, we need some money to get our arts organization. It's the town supervisor comes in and says, our sewer plant is falling apart. I've got to get help with our sewer plant. Our bridge over Lake Champlain is falling apart. We need help with our bridge. It's actually, they're all actually, it's not like a choice of like, these are the bridges to nowhere. I mean, the guy in Alaska, I don't know where he came up with a bridge to nowhere. I got real good projects all over my district that if I had $200 million, which I don't, if I had that money he had up in Alaska, I could fund good stuff that everybody in this room would go, that's going good. We need that in our community.
These are all votes, too.
And they're all people that live in our district, and they want to make their communities better. And so I still say no to almost all of them. But you do see it when you get in there, when you get involved in government, you see the hard choices of, okay, how are we going to pay for it? And how are we going to say no to things that are good? I mean, you know, I want the Heart Society to understand it better how to keep people from having heart attacks, yes, but I still say no to people all the time. And so that is the real balance in government. And that, when people get involved and see that, you know, the military comes in, they need more money for more equipment to do the right thing, to be able to meet the missions that we have. You know, you go through the list, it's not like there's a bunch of ideas where it's like, oh, well, everybody knows that's just a guy who's out for himself. It's real good stuff that shows up, but you can't do it all. And I think getting people involved is critical to people understanding those trade-offs that government does have to make. And I will keep doing that, and hopefully you guys will stay involved. And I don't know if I helped answer your question, but it's true.
I have two small problems that I think a place in our lives where the government belongs, and I think they're both pretty manageable problems. One, let's look, is rural internet access. I've never even been to your website, and I wouldn't even try because I'm on dial-up. Now, back in the 30s around here, most of the farms didn't have power, and the government came in and connected all the farms with power. I don't think there's anybody who disagrees that that was a right role for government, and that was a good thing for the nation as a whole, that the farms got refrigeration. And they did that. In the 50s, the same thing happened with phones, okay? Maybe it wasn't profitable to run phone lines in rural areas, but the government required the phone companies to do that. And I think we're in the same place with internet access.
Yeah. You are giving speeches I have given, so I believe that internet access is right now. I use the rural electrification story all the time, 80 years ago. I think it is a utility that we can't, our small communities won't be able to survive. Our farms can't survive, and small businesses can't survive in our small communities if we don't have rural internet access. So Mark in my office is the point man on, there was money in the Recovery Act that was passed in January for rural internet access. We've been working with a number of different organizations to try to get that money here in the 20th Congressional District, and I think it is the place for government. People say to me, well, you're a business guy, why are you a Democrat? Part of that is because I believe there are public infrastructure investments that only government can do, and that my business interests and businesses that create jobs only function when you have those. Highways, internet access, water and sewer, electrification and phones in rural areas. Some of these places the private sector won't ever get to with broadband access, but we need that if those areas are going to survive. And so I'm a very big fan. We work on it a lot. The money, there was money in the stimulus package that we're working on getting for our communities, and I do think that's a role for government.
So what other very small issue?
Yep.
The good news about the dairy problem is that there's a market for 97% of the milk that's produced in this country, a good strong market. The bad news is that other 2%, the 2% overproduction. I don't think that's a really big problem. I don't think that's an intractable problem that the government couldn't help us solve. You know, I don't expect the junior congressman from New York to solve the dairy problem, something that's intractable and deep-seated.
A lot of people in this district do.
And I appreciated you bringing Chairman Peterson to the county last month. But frankly, what I heard was really no more than even just starting to unwrap the Band-Aid. I don't think it's a huge problem, but we really are looking to Washington for leadership on this one. And so far, we're not getting it.
Scott, can I?